there. Even in the slides, you can see on the side, people are there and it's clearer. Okay, we can start with our prayers. It is 5:15 since already I'm late, huh? Okay, we'll not wait for others, as and when they come, they come. Okay, let's go here. Om Narayanam Padmabhavam Vasishtam Shaktim cha Tatputra Parasharancha. I've made the type bigger. Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Mathasya Shishyam Shri Shankaracharya Mathasya Padmapadancha Hasta Malakancha Shishyam Tam Totakam Vartikakarmanyan Asmad Gurun Santatamanatosmi. Just one sec, I'm just putting off my floating meeting controls, okay. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punaha Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibheda Vibhagine Vyomavadyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Dayanandeshwaraya Namaha. Chapter 13, starting with verse number 8. Amanitvam adambitvam ahimsakshantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham stairyamatma vinigraha indriyartheshu vairagyam Anahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshanu darshanam asakterana bishvangaha putradara grihadishu nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu mai chananya yogena bhaktiravya bicharini Vivikta desha sevitvam aratirjana samsadi adhyatma jnana nityatvam tatvajnanartha darshanam etad jnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyatha. So, okay, I don't need to do that. Okay. So last time we were looking at different aspects of Shaucham, right? The value of purity. So today we will recap only the slides, and then the part which was left over, I will go over that. And then if we have time, we will take the new value. Okay? So let's look at the next one. So we saw that Shaucham means cleanliness or purity. And two types of purity are there, Bahya Shaucham and Antara Shaucham. Okay, so that's okay. Usual thing, okay. Antara Shaucham, of course, is the extremely important one. Bahya Shaucham is also good because it promotes, having a quiet mind. And Antara Shaucham, of course, is taking care of all the negative states of mind which are there, which actually make us very upset, And so then we saw last time that the antidote for this Shaucham is Pratipaksha Bhavana. Today I was looking at some Western thing and they have the same thing, think in the opposite way. Ours is very, very ancient, very, very ancient Shastric method, taking the opposite point of view deliberately. Then I was pointing out, so just to give you an example, that if manitvam is there, pride is there, then humility becomes the pratipaksha bhavana. Okay, dambitvam, hypocrisy, honesty. Himsa meaning violence, then the pratipaksha bhavana is love. I also made a very important observation that when the intensity of emotion is very high, then our wisdom does not come, immediately and fall into place to give us pratipaksha bhavana. So it is useful to use a energy shifting modality like EFT, which changes your state, and to reduce the intensity of the negative emotion, and then there is enough space for the pratipaksha, your wisdom to come, in the form of pratipaksha bhavana. It's a useful thing to have. Then we were looking at the ashaucham of specifically resentment, anger, and there also we saw yeah, that remind yourself, this is very important. Only then that means you have the value for becoming free of the anger. Otherwise, when we are angry, we feel very righteous, and then we will justify our anger like anything, and it may be justified also. But here the point being made is, you are a sadhaka. That means you are the one who wants moksha. And if you want moksha, then you need a mind which is quiet. Only that mind is really available to understand what Shastra is saying. And because you are a moksharthi, you don't want to carry these emotions in your heart. Firstly, they give you dukkha, but I've seen many people, they don't want to give up their anger, They feel it serves a purpose, or they feel very righteous about it. So it's very difficult for people to understand that actually anger is limiting them. So being a sadhaka or moksharthi, you say, nah, anger, I don't want to carry this emotion in my heart. Then of course the observation that if the intensity is very high, no matter what the emotion is, use EFT, bring down the intensity, then your wisdom can come into place. And the wisdom is to see, because you want to neutralize that dvesha which is taking place in the heart. So you're advised to see the good qualities in the person. This is possible only when the intensity comes down. नहीं तो आपको कोई good qualities दिखेगा ही नहीं है. So the intensity must come down. So EFT means memories will be there, pile up of emotion is usually there. वो pile up के लिए वो सब को थोड़ा निकालना पड़ेगा. And then when the intensity comes down, you can do this pratipaksha bhavana, and you can allow yourself to forgive the person. And remember always, forgiveness is for you, it is not for the other person. Okay? Then we looked at the ashaucham of selfishness. Selfishness is thinking only of our needs, our needs, our happiness, and we don't bother about the others. Means the person becomes very inconsiderate. दूसरों के बारे में सोचना ही नहीं है. So this is selfishness. So it's very it's again in selfishness also, we don't easily recognize the tendency in ourselves. So first step is to recognize कि मेरे अंदर ये tendency है तो, okay, है तो मेरे अंदर ये tendency है. और कभी कभी हम सब selfish तो बनते ही हैं, it is okay, but if it is lagatar, then it's good to recognize the tendency. Even if it's once in a way, we can have stretchable boundaries, flexible boundaries. So then have a value for growing out of selfishness. Why? Because when we grow out of selfishness, the heart grows big. When you are Purna, that's what the teaching is, you are Purna. You're complete. There's no need to hold back, There's no need to have any fear. Usually selfishness is also, there's a lot of fear in selfishness. So you are completely Purna. Why should you hold yourself back? Iti. You can share, with others. So have a value for growing out of selfishness. And that of course means becoming aware of the habitual patterns. These are all habitual stuff, Janma Janmantar se we are carrying some of this stuff. So we need to recognize the habitual pattern. And what is the Pratipaksha Bhavana? To deliberately act in the opposite way. Very deliberately, consciously do more. Okay, be extra caring, extra generous, act in an unselfish manner. Nice to see you, Suchismita. I mean, I don't see you, but I recognize that you are here. Eh? And
Hari
I
Om.
feel happy, when I see people and I know that I'm not talking to a screen. So
Yeah.
thank you for putting if your net is okay and you put your net on, then I feel, then I'm actually talking to a person, not talking to a blank screen. Eh? So act in an unselfish manner. Okay, this was the what we saw last time. Okay, then we saw the ashaucham of self-condemnation, and we looked at what does self-condemnation do. First step is to understand, because many people think it's very good to have self-condemnation. Self-condemnation hai to it will make me improve myself, But what Vedanta points out is that self-condemnation leads to lot of suffering. You have lot of suffering. I can see you, Anita. I can see, I can see little bit of Bhatia uncle and I can see lot of Anita. Eh? So that's good. Somebody to dekh pa rahe hai. So we spent time on this last time, understanding that it is opposite of what Vedanta teaches. And so, if we have, because Vedanta is teaching you that you are Purna, you're whole, you're complete. That's what the self is. And then if you are condemning yourself continuously, then it defeats the very purpose of this Vedantic teaching. No? And so, we are strongly advised to look at this ashaucham of self-condemnation. And why do we have self-condemnation? Because there is identification. And that's very natural. When there is ignorance, identification is there. And we identify with that which is quite imperfect and which will always be imperfect. जितना भी उसके ऊपर काम करो, कुछ ना कुछ तो रह जाएगा. And therefore, then we feel that we are lacking. Okay? And why is identification there? Because of ignorance. Right? So, we spent a lot of time on some fairly complex logic, and which I'm not going to repeat now. Listen to last time's this thing, that if at all anything is to be condemned, even the ego itself, of course, cannot be condemned. Atma is Satchidananda, Purna, it cannot be condemned. Shall I condemn the ego? Arre, ego is nothing but ignorance. Ego, which is the identified self, it's nothing but ignorance. If anything else is to be condemned, ignorance can be condemned. Whereas I, Atma, is Satchidananda, which always illumines the ego. Okay. Then, okay, now let me see. So in the previous class, we had come up till here. So next we are going to look at the ashaucham of guilt and jealousy. I've written, okay, let me go to the slide. I think not. Let me talk first. Okay. So when I can come back to you all. So when one transgresses one's value system, naturally one feels guilt. It's a very natural human emotion. And because of the guilt, there can be lot of self-condemnation. So who is the guilt felt by? Does Atma feel guilt? No. Ego feels guilt. Ahankara feels guilt. But remaining in guilt, it is self-defeating. It's really self-defeating. You can remain in guilt forever and ever. It's called narcissistic guilt. Eh? So instead of remaining in guilt, what can we do? We can understand what happened. How our ego trips, the ego trips itself because of raga-dvesha. To fulfill a raga-dvesha, one may transgress a value. If fulfilling the raga-dvesha is not possible through dharmic means, then one may go and use adharmic means. One may go and transgress a value. Now, understand intimately, raga-dvesha is directly connected to one's own sense of well-being, right? Why do I have the raga? Why do I have the dvesha? Because I think that it is an addition to my sense. When I am able to fulfill my raga, I feel good, right? When I'm able to fulfill my dvesha also, I feel good. So raga dvesha is directly related to the ego, to the sense of well-being that the ego wants to feel good about itself. So ego wants to feel secure, ego wants some pleasure, ego wants, right, to feel good about itself. So the ego will seek to fulfill the raga or dvesha, even sometimes if the dharma structure is not very strong, by transgressing a value. Now look at that, how foolish it is. Then instead of feeling good, one can end up feeling guilty. Of course, there are people who don't have conscience, they are very far gone, because the ignorance is very strong. In some criminals you can see they're very far gone. But for normally, okay, when you transgress your value, you feel guilty. So the person needs to question himself or herself, do I really need to fulfill this raga dvesha to feel good about myself? To get more pleasure, etc. If it means transgressing a value, because I end up with guilt. So instead of feeling good about myself, I end up with guilt, right? So now what, if we understand Vedanta, or as we begin to understand Vedanta, we begin to realize that we give too much of reality to the ego and what it demands of us. So much of ego nourishment is demanded, We want to feel good. It's big demands from the ego. But the ego is nothing but ignorance itself. So somewhere inside, as a moksharthi, one decides that why should I give so much reality to this raga dvesha if I end up feeling guilty? Somewhere, if the person has a tendency to do something which makes them feel guilty, then they can spend time thinking about it, Because when guilt is there, naturally you're going to condemn yourself. So, there's a very important point in the slide. All this we saw. Let me come to this, okay? So we saw remaining in guilt is self-defeating. We saw that we should understand why the value system was transgressed, because raga dvesha is there. And then we go through this self-defeating behavior. To fulfill raga dvesha, we transgress the value and then feel guilty. But for us to not, because some of these behaviors are habitual, so strong will is required. Even if understanding is there, will is required not to repeat. Sometimes, it comes in the form of cravings. Some people have some odd cravings and addictions. So EFT is extremely useful to free oneself of craving and addiction. I've really seen it in action, Like you have when I do training with Rangana, she will tell people to she'll do simple ones, and then for more complicated ones like drinks and all, you actually have to take one-on-one, sessions with somebody as experienced as Rangana. But with things like, I have chocolate craving, I have some other cake, some people have some cravings they had. So then she will tell them to bring that in front of them. And they have to keep looking at it without touching it. And so the craving really builds up, And then what the feelings are like. You address the feelings. Oh, I'm having the craving, but I cannot fulfill my craving. What is the feeling like? And so then the tapping starts. And when the tapping starts, after a few rounds, the craving thing comes down a little bit. Then the question will be asked, when did this first start? Or what memory does it take you to? And usually there is a memory of some sorrow, some hurt, something is there. As an escape, as a distraction, the person started on that craving. And when that memory is addressed, the craving goes. It's just, or it could be a series of memories, When those are addressed, the craving just goes. But then the person says, oh, now it is tasting like plastic. Yeah, no more they want to even look at it. Even the smell annoys them. Eh? It's amazing, what the human mind is like. So now coming back to our topic of guilt, the very sweet advice that be fair to yourself. Because we are all good people. Most of the time we follow values. Sometimes we fail. Therefore, we can't condemn ourselves, that I am bad because of a lapse committed by one part of the personality. Iti. Okay, so I'm talking to moksharthis who are mostly good people. Otherwise, you won't come here for this talk. Eh? So, okay, so be fair to yourself. Very important. Okay. So whenever we fail to follow a value, it's good if we can acknowledge it, so that next time we can try to not repeat and to try to follow the value. But it's not right to consider yourself inferior or to, condemn yourself just because a small part of your personality made the mistake. Okay, so if there is a defect in a small part, it doesn't make the whole useless. Now, this is not attempt to justify the guilt. Somebody can say you're trying to justify, You're trying to justify. No, the attempt is only to understand what is happening, when you're doing this. So once the reason for the action is understood, okay, the reason for the action that caused the guilt is understood, then having understood the futility of the action, will is required not to repeat. And here is where taking help from either a therapist or if the person is a habitual offender, there are habitual offenders, then or go to somebody like go to an EFT experienced practitioner, and definitely you'll come out of it. Eh? There is a beautiful way, given by Shastra. Sri Shankaracharya, he has got the Shiva Aparadha Kshamapana Stotra, where he accepts all the papas committed, admits it before the Lord, and asks for forgiveness from the Lord. Many of us do puja, no? We actually say this. Is it too small? You want it bigger? Okay. Karanacharana kritam. Karanacharanam kritam va kayajam karmajam va shravananayanajam va manasam va paradam vihitam avihitam va sarvametat shamasva jaya jaya karunabde Shri Mahadeva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Karunabde Shri Mahadeva Shambho. Hey Shiva, hey Mahadeva, please forgive all my mistakes. Please forgive my lapses. Please forgive my crimes. Please forgive my weaknesses. Because of my negligence, I never remembered you. I could not worship you. This is all there in the Shiva Aparadha Kshamapana Stotra. I could never meditate on you. But you gave me human birth just for this. You gave me human birth so that I may remember you and meditate on you. But what happened? Always my mind has been busy somewhere else. And that's why I could not remember you. When I was in my mother's womb, I was in so much pain that I did not remember you. After that, I was busy, satisfying my hunger and thirst. So many other things in childhood, I was busy satisfying all that. I could not remember you. When youth came, my mind was totally engrossed with objects. I can't remember you. And my mind is filled with ego. How will I remember? How could I have remembered you at that time? Now my old age has come and my mind is not in my hands. My body is also not supporting me. Therefore, oh Lord, please forgive me. Please forgive me. So this is a beautiful verse to ask for forgiveness for all the small and big offenses that we commit against Ishvara's order day by day. So this verse can be said daily. At night before going to sleep, one can say this verse where you ask for forgiveness from Lord for any lapses that might have been committed during the day, known and unknown. Many are there which we don't know, how many ants and whatnot we stamp. So we acknowledge our lapses in this prayer, and after acknowledging, we try our best not to repeat. Okay? So, this ashaucham, when feelings of, so many negativities come, disrespect, pride, violence, intolerance, anger, guilt, whenever all this arises in our mind, become aware of them. Don't let them pass by. Don't then let them linger in your mind. Process them, otherwise it piles up, And when it piles up, it causes disease. It can cause disease also. So we need to process. You can use EFT, use Pratipakshna Bhavana, use any method, but process it. And when you do this continuously, the Pratipakshna Bhavana becomes very spontaneous. Because really, all that is there in Pratipakshna Bhavana is our basic nature. So the negative feelings that we think, we think negative feeling is mine. But we think they are our own, they actually go away, And why do they go away? Because they are not our nature. If they were our nature, they would never go away. But they go away because they are not our nature, they're only visitors. So far we looked at self-condemnation because of transgressing a value. Now we look at some practical ways to overcome self-condemnation in which we are very harsh on ourselves, very self-critical, Because you're studying Vedanta, your ego needs to be healthy first. If you're constantly criticizing yourself, then that needs to change. Okay. So let's look at that. So typical negative thoughts, I can't do that. I know I'll fail if I try. You're all the time criticizing yourself. I'm going to fail. I'm not going to be able to do it. I always make mistakes. I can't do anything right. I should know better. I shouldn't do that. But I'm too weak to say no. I'm such a failure. My dad is right. I won't amount to anything. Mom is right. I'm too fat to be, lovable, etc. So we start noticing when we treat ourselves harshly. So notice without judgment. Okay? Just notice. Just neutral. Okay. Start it again. Okay? So all these kind of thoughts when they come. Most of these thoughts, if you notice, are limiting beliefs. Very effective ways in EFT to deal with limiting beliefs. EFT and ICM. What is ICM? Inner Child Matrix. For the wounds that one may have experienced as a child, that is called as ICM. Okay. So when limiting beliefs are there, simply replacing negative remarks with more positive ones may not necessarily work. But anyway, let's look at what could be positive ones. Okay, so I will take your help. I did one. I can't do that. I said I can try. Any other suggestions? I'll have to, get out of that mode so that I
I will
can
do
write.
it. I will do it.
I will
Do it.
I will do it. I know I'll fail if I try. Any suggestions?
Pray to God.
Yeah, Ishwara's grace, I will be able to. Umal, suggestions?
I'm thinking.
Sonia uncle, you always have suggestions. This person has got very negative thinking. So he's saying, I know I'll fail if I try. So the person doesn't try only. Because he's already come to the conclusion that I'm going to fail. So how should that person think so that they don't, fall into this trap of thinking like this?
God is with me and He will succeed. He will
God
make me successful.
is with me
And He will make me successful.
and he or she will make me success. Okay. Okay, so it's something for you all to chew upon. Eh? Then the other person says, I always make mistakes. What to do with this? Oops. What is the spelling of successful?
SUCC.
It's
Ah.
correct now.
So I will always make mistakes. There are two chat messages. Let's see. Somebody. I will learn even if I fail. Very nice. Mistakes help me learn. Very nice, Shuchismita. Thank you. Mistakes help me learn. I'm not afraid of mistakes. Something else Shuchismita said, no? I will learn even if I fail. Very nice. And that we'll put with, I know I'll fail if I try. Okay. I will learn even if I fail. Okay. Ayyo. Okay. Somebody comes up with, I can't ever do anything right. I can't ever do anything right. Firstly, this is a very big, once long ago we had looked at cognitive mistakes, We're making a generalization. This is a big error. It leads to a lot of depression, eh? Making generalizations like that, I can't ever do anything right. It's a big limiting belief, huh? Yes, my uncle, waiting for your.
I will do it right with
No,
God's help.
I will ask, is it really true? And then I can do it.
I can do it with God's help.
With God's help.
Once we bring God in,
Yeah.
then there's no problem. He
First,
knows everything.
Hopefully the person believes in God, eh? Okay.
See,
I should
anybody who
know
comes,
better. Tell, my uncle, what were you saying?
I say anybody who comes to learn these things and discuss these
Actually,
things.
many of us don't have these issues, but we are looking at somebody who may have issues. Then we are just showing you that when there is critical self-talk, we need to counter that talk. Okay, that's the idea of doing this. And so critical self-talk, this is one of the, these are some of the examples. So we are learning how to have a different way of thinking. We can think differently. We don't have to always follow what our negative thoughts are telling us. Eh? This
We
person
can
is saying,
even
I should know
count,
better in a sarcastic
Yeah.
way.
Guruma, we can even count occasions, when we were right.
Yeah. So that's why I said, is it really true? You know? So count occasions. When we were right. Okay. The limiting beliefs method of EFT is just unbelievably good. Okay. Then I should know better. This is a tough one. Even I can't think of. I should know better. This is sarcastically, The person made a mistake and the person saying, how could I do this? Like, any ideas, Suchismita? Okay, let's look at the next one. I shouldn't do that, but I'm too weak to say no. Oh my God, this is a big one. Eh? I shouldn't do that, but I'm too weak to say no. Am I really so weak? I thought we'll ask a question. Then we can bring in, like Mera uncle says, with God's help, I can say no. With strength from God, I can say no, or something like that. Is that okay? Sonia uncle, shall I write that? Komal, do you think that's okay?
Yes.
I'm also
Yes.
thinking along with you. Huh?
Yeah.
I will have strength to say, and I'll put no in capital letters. I'm such a failure. Supposing somebody is thinking like this, I'm such a failure.
I shouldn't label myself, that strongly.
Yeah, this is a limiting belief. And if somebody, labels them like that, they will actually make it happen. So these are limiting beliefs, they have to get out of it. Eh? And many of these are learnt in childhood because of faulty parenting. Okay?
Yes.
Children learn all kinds of, they label themselves in different ways. Eh? Anyway, I'm such a failure means, hello, somebody provide. See, we don't think this way, so we don't know what to think. What would be the opposite way of thinking I'm such a failure?
I'm very strong.
I'm
I
successful.
am, yes, Komal?
I'm successful.
No, that may be too much, going the other end. Huh? I have learned so much from my mistakes or something like that.
No, I'm strong and I'll be able to overcome.
Yeah, okay. And I will be able to overcome. What did I say? I don't remember what I said. Eh? With God's help, I'll be able to overcome, or I will be a success. I'll be a success. No, I don't like this, labeling ourselves as success and failure. It's all bull. Huh? I will
try to be,
I'm strong and
I'm strong and I will do it.
I will do it. Okay.
That covers everything.
I'll think of something for this. Okay. Should be something the person is able to accept. Okay. Dad is right. I won't amount to anything. Very sad, no?
Mm.
Okay, I have something from Suchismita, I think. There are many paths to success. Okay. Someday I have to talk to you all about the problem of labeling things as success and failure. Eh? There, from the cosmic point of view, there is no such thing. It's a very
Guruma
subjective.
for the
There
Guruma
are,
for the previous one, we
uh,
can say I will try and achieve.
yeah, I will try. Okay, this is better. I will try and achieve. I'm such a failure. I'm strong and I will try and achieve.
No,
Oh,
rather than using failure, we can say ki I was unable to succeed, but I will try and achieve.
yeah.
Not using failure at all.
I will, yeah, we are not using failure. No, I'm strong and I will try my best. That's better. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'll try my best with God's help. There are many paths to success. That we can go, Dad is right, I won't amount to anything. That's his opinion. If it was me, I would say that's his opinion. Eh? I don't have to subscribe to. Suchismita, you're really good. Thank you. There are different definitions of success. Yeah. And then failing at one goal does not make me a complete failure. Very nice. I like this very much. I'll just copy and paste from there. Huh? Okay, failing at one goal does not make me a complete failure. There are many definitions of success. Yeah, I would say that, that's his opinion. And there are many definitions of success, and I don't have to, buy his opinion. Huh? Oops. What is that? But the idea here is that that we need to counter our critical self-talk. Okay, that's the basic idea that we are countering. And where there are very strong limiting beliefs, we should actually take help and get rid of them. There are many ways of getting rid of them, and we should take help. So first is becoming aware of our own critical self-talk. Yeah, and all of us have it to lesser or greater extent. Okay. So removing self-condemnation does not mean we give ourselves permission to be, mean and nasty to others. No, no, no. It's just that we are choosing to live consciously. Yeah, ready to learn, and we are not going to hurt ourselves. So it's a conscious choice to treat ourselves differently in our thoughts. Okay. So what we can do is, a person who is tending to be very critical, they can write down an affirmation and put it wherever it will, wherever they can see it several times in a day, or make a card and keep it in the purse, where you keep saying this, repeating to yourself, I choose to treat myself with respect, compassion, care, and love. I choose to be my own support person and friend. Yeah. Okay. Somebody
Okay,
had to say something? No. Okay. Uncle is, I'll mute him. Yeah. So now we have another common ashaucham, and that is jealousy. Seeing the happiness and development of others, very, very common and very human, We feel jealousy in our heart. It's an ashaucham. Why? Because we feel miserable about ourselves when we get a jealousy attack, no? And so jealousy is a very disturbing emotion. What happens? We are comparing ourselves with others. So whenever we think, in certain areas, we think we are less accomplished, or no, this is better. In certain, we think that others are less accomplished than us. Then what happens? We swell with pride. Ego gets nourished, okay, and we feel very satisfied with ourselves. But the point is, if there is somebody who feels great in comparison to others, then definitely that person is going to feel very small also in comparison to some others. Naturally, Ishvara has made all of us different, and all of us have got different unique skills. Each one is different. So now there is uniqueness in me. It may not be there in the other person, but there is some uniqueness in the other person which may not be there in me. So when somebody gets more attention, more appreciation, more love, more success than me, more fame, more wealth, then what happens? I feel jealous. What does it actually mean? It means that I want more attention, I want more success, okay? I want more appreciation, I want more love, whatever they are getting, I want. And so it shows us really what our needs are. What is my need? Now, supposing there's a person who is very satisfied with what he or she is, then that person is likely not to feel jealous. Even after seeing others, okay, who have developed some qualities in themselves a little more than he has, But if one is dissatisfied with oneself, then definitely one is going to feel jealous. When you see the progress of others, then you tend to think that you are inferior. Somebody else is progressing, you take it as I am inferior, iti. And nobody likes to feel inferior. No, we can't accept that we are inferior in any way. So the fact about jealousy is that the basic conflict is with oneself. It's got very little to do with the other person. It's about me, I am feeling it. But the conflict is with myself, but it's expressing as jealousy towards somebody else. And why does this happen? Identification with the body mind. So as long as this identification with body mind upadhi is there, the I sense in the upadhi is there, purnatvam is not going to be there, right? Feeling purna will not be there. Upadhis to bahut sare hain universe mein, and each upadhi is different. Everyone is having their own some speciality about themselves, some uniqueness, and everybody has got lot of limitations also. So it's good to understand that at the level of upadhi, nobody is perfect. Really, nobody. Absolutely nobody is perfect. Now you will say, wise man is purna. Yes, wise man is purna because he is not identified with the upadhi. But because we are identified with the upadhi, naturally we find ourselves lacking. And there may be somebody that I am jealous of, whom I think is greater than me. But that person also will be lacking in something else, in some measure or the other. So I may be jealous of somebody. Who knows, maybe that person is jealous of me because they are seeing some uniqueness in me, which they don't have. So we should know that even if we become like the person that we are jealous of, we will still not be purna. Iti. So we will not be free from jealousy. To gain something, we have to lose something. Anyway, that we leave that, okay? So when we analyze jealousy, we find that we don't really feel jealous of the whole person. It's some particular aspects of the person that we feel which is lacking in us, that we are jealous of. And then we only are jealous of some aspect which we think is lacking in us, iti. But whatever is lacking in us, we can make a choice, to make effort to improve that if we want. So from Vedanta standpoint, jealousy is totally a product of ignorance. Because in ignorance, you're identifying with the body mind, and after identifying with body mind, you compare yourself with others. And then when you compare yourself with others, naturally in some respect, you will find yourself wanting or lacking. Okay. And being a self-conscious human being, naturally you will compare, and then you may suffer from jealousy. Okay. And when you feel jealous, you can get angry, you can get depressed, you can run yourself run down, or you can run the other person down. You end up running the other person down. He's like this, he's like that. And whole wars are fought because of jealousy. Mahabharata was essentially because of jealousy only. So I don't know if I should share this with you all, but don't know if you have time for it. There was a comedy, which I thought, okay, chalo yaar, aap log ko dikha deti hu. So Komal, you want to read this out?
Yeah. Seeing the happiness and development of others, we feel jealousy and anger in our heart. The basic conflict is with oneself, but its expression is in the form of jealousy towards others. As long as there is identification with the body-mind upadhi, as long as there is I sense in the upadhi, the tendency to compare oneself with others will be there. This can give rise to jealousy.
Yeah. Okay, so this comedy I will send you all. I will not show you now because I don't have time. Now I come to, okay, today what I asked in the group, right? That how do you feel? I don't want to know analysis or anything. How do you feel? What is the feeling you get when you hear about people getting away with injustice, etc., and they're put into situations. Oh, on jealousy, I had a lot to say. Okay. Anyway, that's okay. Mostly it's told. Okay, let's look at this. So your responses were, somebody said, I feel helpless at number 5. Somebody said yucky and disgusting, and the location is in the heart at number 7. Others, nobody actually located, It really requires a certain degree of observation to be able to locate what your emotion is in which part of your body. Okay, and then somebody said sad at number 9, helpless, situation is hopeless, but no intensity was given. Feeling really bad, intensity was 8. Angry, helpless, intensity was at 8. So you can see the intensity of emotion in most of the cases here. 5 we will leave out, but others were all at 8, 7, 8, 9. Okay, this is all high intensity. Now, I just use this as an example to point out certain things. This could possibly mean that the people who are experiencing this high intensity have themselves experienced injustice. So they have themselves experienced injustice or situations where they felt helpless. It is that samskara of helplessness which is being triggered by the current situation. And that helplessness which was felt was very high. And that alone is being triggered right now. Most likely, it's a very, very high chance, okay, that this would be there. It's a very good indication. It's not just empathy for others. Somehow it is connected to ourselves. Only one person has reported where in the body they are feeling the emotion. Usually we are not trained to observe where in the body the emotion is being felt in the form of some kind of contraction. You see, our body is a chemical factory, and depending on our thoughts, there is a chemistry going on in the body. Different hormones will be released. It will do things to muscles, and all kinds of things happen in different parts of the body. Some contraction will be there. Negative emotion means something will be felt in the body. It will be there. It's just that we are not used to observing it. You know, we are so much into our emotion, we don't observe it. So it's good to become observant of the changes happening in the body in keeping with the emotion that we are feeling. So when the intensity is so high, as I've told you before, first we can tap and bring the intensity down at least by 1 or 2 points. Let me go back to that screen now. Yeah. So even though I feel sad or angry or helpless or disgusted, these are, most of us know what EFT is, about whatever the event is, and I feel it in my body part, and it's at a number. I should have actually written that, you know, I still choose to love and accept myself. So when you'll do few rounds of tapping all the points, saying the emotions that you're feeling, saying the body part, saying the number, you know, feeling sad, feeling angry, feeling helpless, whatever it is, you know, this event, whatever the emotions are, you express all of them while tapping. The intensity will come down 100%. What was at 9 will come down to 7, what was at 8 may come down to 6. Like that, the intensity will come down in 2-3 rounds of tapping. After that, you can ask yourself a question. I'm just showing you, you know, typical EFT session, how beautifully it works. When have you felt like this before? When have I felt like this before? When did I have that feeling of helplessness? When did I have that feeling of disgust or yucky or whatever, sad or angry, you know? When did it happen before? Some memory will come up. That memory should be tapped, because that is where the stuff is lying, you know. The samskara is connected with that memory and it is lying there. That has to be taken care of, iti. And then you can, once that is taken, that charge of the memory is gone, you can pursue and ask, when else have you felt like this before? So you take care of the memories and the charge is gone, then the intensity of emotion you feel will drastically come down. You know, it's just unbelievable how it happens. It will just come down, 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 down. And you may even be free of the charge, so that your wisdom comes into place and you will be able to say, it's an Ishvara's order. There must be some reason for this, even though I don't know what it is. I can do what I can. I'll try my best to do whatever I can. If I can't do anything, I can at least pray for the people. And supposing it was with reference to you, then you may find a limiting belief that you acquired because of that, you know, intense experience that you had. And then you would work with the limiting belief. And this way, the ashaucham which takes place, you know, ashaucham, the ashuddhi of thinking or whatever is there going on in the mind, it can be handled, it can be taken care of. This is just an illustration to show you some of the things involved, you know, when the intensity is high, usually some memories are there in that. Now we come to our 4 questions. I don't know if we have time for that. Eh? Okay. So maybe you can think about it. Let me see what is the time. It's 18:14. I think we can stop and you can think about this, and next time we will start with this. These, you know, what do I gain by following Shaucham? What do I lose by following Shaucham? What do I gain by not following Shaucham? What do I lose by not following Shaucham? That you can do on your own and share with me next time. And then we will do the next value, which is Thairya. Okay. Now, because I'm going to sit for this ICM training, Friday will be very difficult for me to be ready with material for you all. So if it is okay with you, can I change the class to Monday?
Yes, no problem.
Because then I have a gap of Saturday, Sunday, Monday to think about what I'm going to talk, you know, and how I'm going to this thing. Is it okay with y'all if I shift to Monday for this 5 weeks? Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
So this coming Monday, I will
It's
take,
okay.
because I am ready. Actually, I am ready with the value of styrium. It may be a small class because styrium doesn't have much in it. Yeah? Okay.
Time will be from 5 o'clock onwards.
Yeah, 5 o'clock, 5:15.
Make it uniform 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, okay. I will
Ah.
just giving people time to have their tea and sleep and whatnot. 5 o'clock, okay, no problem. Yeah? Oh, no, Sonia uncle was going to say something.
I was saying that this intensity is a time variant function. What the intensity would have been when I was a young comparatively, injustice has happened to each one of us.
No, no,
But the,
no, the time variant sometimes is not there, you know. If the
no,
trauma
because
has been very high, no, uncle, it depends on how intense the trauma was. If the trauma was very, very high, then the person goes into what is called as freeze mode. There is, you know, there are these three words: flight, fight, and freeze. Freeze means that emotion is locked and the intensity is also locked into place. And so I have seen cases, you know, where the trauma is high. Oh my God, it's just the same as what would have happened then. It will be in fact, some people, you know, when I've been doing EFT for them, they've said it's more than 10. One person actually told me 500 out of 100. So a few rounds of EFT, it will come down to 10. Then few more rounds, it will come down to 7. Huh? Then you start the real work of the memory. Actual go for the memory. The current event is giving them lot of, you know, dukkha. And then later you find, no, it was the past event actually. Past event is locked into place, you know, locked into the body, locked into the mind. Huh? So it depends on the intensity, uncle. The time variant, if the intensity was not very high, or if you have been attending satsang and doing some amount of processing work, sometimes the trauma is so high you don't want to even know it is there. It goes completely under the unconscious. But it will arise up when there is some situation. In the current situation, the feelings will be that high, you know. That is an indication to you that, oh, there has been previous trauma. It's really a good indication. The current situation, you are sometimes, you know, the person will people will be trembling, you know. I've seen one girl, she shakes like a leaf. Huh?
नहीं अभी गुरुमा आपने खुद ही कहा है कि when you see you are studying Vedanta, so you say it is Ishvara's grace and you take it, let it go. So that in that sense,
No. There I don't agree with you, uncle. Because I have been in this field for a long time. I've seen so many people with big trauma saying it is Ishvara's grace doesn't solve their problem. Because it's locked. You must understand what chemistry is, body chemistry and mind chemistry is. It's locked into place. They have that's why I say energy shifting modules are much better than this cognitive, you know, behavioral therapy. It can work very well for trauma. And where there's high trauma, just cognitive doesn't work. If the trauma is significantly less, yes, cognitive is no problem. You know, cognitive will work. Just a change of way of thinking is enough. But where the trauma levels are very high, it doesn't work. Okay? Too many cases. Seen too many cases. And I've seen it works also. It's very beautiful to see how it works. People
Thank
do
you.
get out of their traumas.
Thank you, Guruma.
Okay, so because modern this thing has gone very far in this. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Pramila had joined, you know, from this thing, so I removed her from that. We'll meet at 6:30. Okay. Om Hari Om Tat Sat.